so it's with great hope. This is an evening of hope for me, because here in our own little way, we have created a little moment where these people are rewarded, and together we rejoice in their achievements and tell them to go on. And hopefully out of this, something else will flower. So without any further ado, I'm going to announce the Humanitarian Award, which is awarded to Professor Jonathan Jansen.
Internationally renowned academic, Professor Jonathan David Jansen is one of South Africa's leading intellectual experts. He is considered to be a leader in the field of education, and as part of his own journey, he is helping South Africans move beyond the barriers of racism. Jansen graduated with a BSc from the University of the Western Cape, completed his teaching qualifications through UNISA, and went on to obtain his master's at Cornell University in the USA. He then acquired a PhD from Stanford University. He is today regarded as a global expert in the field of education.
The three things that really distinguish Jonathan in my eyes as an academic are firstly his immense wisdom and depth of knowledge as an educator. Secondly, the sheer simple common sense he brings to using that knowledge to solve the problems and challenges that face education in our country. And thirdly, the depth of his compassion and humility in understanding the people and the fact that he, least of all, has all the answers, but that we need to work together. This is his leadership in education.
His passion for education has seen him undertake more than 20 international commissioned research and evaluation projects. He's also worked as an editor for numerous local and international journals. Professor Jansen is widely recognized as an author and has published books on matters of education, culture, and of social comment.
We've published Jonathan Jansen's books for the last 4.5 years, and the latest one is How to Fix South Africa's Schools. And I suppose what runs through all of them is that despite being a respected academic, he writes for real people. Everybody can read Jonathan's columns, his books, and really understand what's happening in South Africa and in South African education.
In July 2009, Professor Jansen took up his appointment as Vice-Chancellor and Rector of the University of the Free State, at a time when racial tension was running high.
He's incredibly humble, and I suppose when you see him interact with children to tell jokes, particularly against himself, you really see how he earns the respect of all sorts of people.
Jonathan wrote a book on transformation in a university context, but then he went to put this into practice in a big university and has been working tirelessly at the University of the Free State to turn it into a world-class institution where he has taken on race issues head-on and turned it into one of the leading universities of South Africa.
The best way for me to capture Jonathan Jansen as a man is to say that I, along with many others, believe that he is the real people's choice as Minister of Education. To me, this encompasses him as a leader, him as a thinker, and him as a man of action.
This gifted orator and leader has, through listening and introspection, found the key to transformation. He leads by example. The South African Jewish Report is privileged and blessed to honor this remarkable person tonight. It is an honor to present the Chivas Humanitarian Award in honor of the late Chief Rabbi Cyril Harris to Professor Jonathan Jansen.
Thank you for inviting me to the Jewish Achievers Award. I get it about the award. I can quibble with you a little bit about being an achiever, but the Jewish part really got to me. A Jewish award, and here's a Gentile, or whatever they call non-Jews. But what a great honor to be here. And yet, as I said one day with Dennis Davis when I spoke at the shul in the Gardens in Cape Town, I'm Jewish. How many of you can claim to have a father called Abraham, a mother called Sarah, and a brother called Isaac? The bugger has been such a pain in our lives, my younger brother Isaac. We often beseeched Abraham and Sarah to offer him up as a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. But what an honor to be here. If you read the Sundays this morning, you would come away with a distinct impression that the country is about to drop off the precipice into that overpopulated graveyard of failed states. But there's another South Africa that I witness every day, whose citizens take their lead from great humanitarians such as David Russell and Cyril Harris, and in whose shadows I find tremendous reassurance that it will be well with us. When the president of Ireland, a man called Michael Higgins, returned a visit to England, he was very conscious of centuries of conflict that had driven deep divisions, mistrust, and hatred among two peoples. Now, of course, the Queen had gone there to say sorry, but the English have a particularly weird way of saying sorry. You say sorry, but you don't. So I listened very carefully to the Queen saying sorry in Ireland, and so on. But I was moved by the gesture. And so, of course, President Higgins comes and does the same. And in what will be recorded, I believe, as one of the great speeches of this century, the poet-politician toasted the English Queen with these unforgettable words. Quote, "The kind of generosity reflected in your words this evening encourages us to embrace the best version of each other." The best version of each other. That there is a best version of each other implies, of course, that there is a worse one, something we are not proud of. This is as true of individuals as it is of nations. Yet in the very act of reaching out, of seeking to be reconciled against the weight of history, we search for and often find the best version of each other. This is what Daniel Barenboim, the Israeli-Argentinian conductor, does with the West Eastern Divan Orchestra that brings together, amongst others, Arab and Israeli student musicians to find that best version of each other through the gift of orchestral music. This is what Izzeldin Abulaish does, and Grace and I, my wife, were privileged to have him in our home. The Gaza doctor who had part of his family maimed and killed by shells from an Israeli tank. And when he was asked, "Don't you just hate Jews?" he responded, "Which Jews should I hate? My friends or my patients in Tel Aviv? Which ones?" His book, I Shall Not Hate, is a powerful testimony of uncommon love and an unwavering commitment to insist on looking for the best version of the other. I work with 30,000 students every single day. Across race and class, many of them come from broken homes and racially divided communities. And yet I have seen the remarkable capacity of most of these young people to live and learn and love together, despite the lingering pain and the inevitable setbacks that come with standing up and standing out against those debilitating stories that dwell on the worst versions of each other. And so I dedicate this award tonight to Joshua Broomberg, whose words moved me to the core of my being when he so eloquently argued that criticism is not betrayal. And that, in his words, I quote, "I can love and support the state of Israel, but still reject and criticize some of its actions," unquote. Joshua Broomberg surely is the best version of our South African youth. But he and all of us stand on the shoulders of Mandela's rabbi, who upset more than a few people in his induction at St. John's Wood Synagogue when he said that tranquility must not be obtained at the expense of valued principles. And in his TRC testimony, making the point that our task is, quote, to change to the best, to display the best that human beings can do to fellow human beings. Those, of course, were the words of the late Rabbi Cyril Harris, surely the best version of all of us. Thank you very much.